nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right, I'd like to make a motion to open up the Monday, June 16th, 2025 Village of Cornwall and Hudson Board of Trustees meeting. May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Let's start off with public comment. Would anyone like to make a comment from the public? You know the routine, Paul.
Good evening. Paul Janis, 46 Deer Hill. Just wanted to follow up on the public comment last. We provided that packet of information, and the information was and is intended to give clarity to the situation that we're dealing with. If you look at it on a day like today, when there's no rain falling, it just looks like grass and trees and a road. Doesn't look like anything. So, like I say, the intent of that package is really, without that, it's hard to really grasp what we're talking about. The second thing that I wanted to, I guess, underline after that presentation was we also submitted to you via email to the clerk, Doris, videos of the same thing, showing you actual live action of what's going on. So I also wanted to underline that with regard to the engineer, that just make sure that they will see it if they haven't already. And then the last point that I just wanted to make sure was said is that thank you very much for all that's going on right now in terms of the discussion with regard to this point of stormwater management. I think that the village is going to benefit a lot if we do address it proactively versus, playing catch up. But I also think that it's important in the case that we're raising with regard to our own personal property, that the village-wide issue, which the engineers you've talked about, we listened to the meeting. You've tasked them with getting you a proposal on what it's going to take to look at it, what's the cost. I guess the cost is what's the cost to engineer it or what's the cost to actually implement it. So I get that. There's component parts to it. But again, I want to underline here that what we're raising is a specific issue of village water entering the property, which is different than just stormwater management at large in the village. And it's also different, just to clarify, it's not us complaining about stormwater on our property. We've got plenty of runoff, plenty of erosion issues that are happening past the curb inland. That's not at all in this conversation. That's not in the packet. That's not in those videos. This is water that's coming off the road. That's not our water. And that's what I wanted to clarify.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I appreciate it very much.
Yep.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. Okay. Let's start with any other public comment. Carol? Nothing? Okay. All right. Just checking, Carol. Okay. Let's start off with monthly reports. Treasurer's report. Okay. The monthly report for May. Village, excuse me. With regards to the water report for the village, $407,822.94. For the town, $238,088. For a total of $789,061.82. Warrant number 6 in the amount of $283,439.69. With respect to year-to-date revenue and expenditure reports by fund. So for the general fund revenue, we have $3,464,387.69. As for expenditures, it's $1,650,140.84. As for water fund revenue, it's $1,213,125.84. As for water fund expenditures, it's $831,624.60. Going to sewer funds revenue, we have $170,320.01, and expenditures $17,208.13. So the total receipts are $4,897,651.28, which equates to about almost 50% in anticipated revenues. And then we have $2,498,973.57, equivalent to about 28% in anticipated expenditures through May. The balance collected for the sewer capital is $695,757.79 through May. The total taxes collected through May were $2,814,023.91, which equates to about 93%. The treasurer notes that our NICLAS interest rate year to date as of 5/31 by fund, the average monthly yield is 4.1455. The general, we had the yield was $14,523.03. For water, it was $6,853.88. And for sewer, it was $4,112.33. Are there any questions? Okay. Moving on to the building department. Bill, I finally have gotten this down. I looked back in my notes from April. So,
Village of Cornwall on Hudson Building Department. Report from May 2025. Building permits issued 16. Certificates of compliance or occupancy issued 6. 24 on-site inspections. 1 violation. 1 stop work order. 3 municipal searches. No solar panels and 2 fire inspections. Manny A. Carmona, Code Enforcement Officer.
Manny, how are you?
Doing well, sir. How are you?
Good. You received the email today from our resident in regards to Prospect?
I did, sir, and I also met with the resident today.
You did?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And how did that go, Manny?
For my end, it went very well. Hopefully, next time she'll come back with everything that is required.
So it's clear now what things are required?
Just like I've been saying from the beginning.
Yes. Was the contractor there with you, or was it just the owners?
Just the owner, just one of the owner.
Okay, all right.
And I do understand while that owner was sitting with me in the office, the other owner came up here and was talking to Doris about the same situation. So they confusing themselves, I would say.
Right. Well, there's some indication that they might show up, so you're staying for the remainder of the meeting, correct?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right.
And I do have an email right here with me, which highlighted the whole area.
All right, very good. How about Manny on River Ave? Any progress on that one?
I'm waiting on the owners to provide plans so that I can issue the full permit.
Okay. When was the last time that they were in?
I spoke to her last Thursday, I want to say.
Okay. All right, very good. How about the one on Winter Meadow? Did that all happen?
They paid the fee on Friday. I believe that they were getting ready to issue the permit, so nothing should have happened yet.
Okay. All right. Any other?
That's the last thing on the radar.
Yeah. Any other questions for Matt?
No, I was going to split those 2 things.
Okay. Okay. Moving on. How about the fire department, Dave?
Okay. Village of Cornwall and Hudson Board.
Ooh, Manny, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just want to make a note, for the general public to know as well. As of today, we started with the revised building permit application, as it was requested. I know people didn't like the 8.5 by 14. I reduced the page, 2 pages now, that the applicant will have to fill. It's 8.5 by 11.
Regular size paper.
Only 2 pages. The rest of the pages still remain, but the building department will complete that for them. Just so you know.
Okay, thank you very much for
But,
that,
as
Manny.
you
I
know, that
appreciate
was-
it. You and Janelle, thank
It
you.
will slow me down a little bit more, just so you know.
I got it.
Okay.
Okay, Dave.
Okay. Village of Cornwall and Hudson Board of Fire Commissioners, June 2025 Department Report. Automatic alarms, 1. Canceled en route, 1. Drills, 5. EMS calls, 3. Hazardous conditions, 3. Motor vehicle accidents, 1. Meetings, 2. Outdoor grill fire, 1. Parades, 1. Public relation calls, 1. Structure fires, 1. Training events, 1. And work details, 1. Total volunteer hours, 282. Total events, 22. Under other, we answered 100% of our calls. Boat 416 is out of service. Temporary repairs have been made to the wiring harness and the oil reservoir. Will be back in service this week. Engine 412 is being lettered and we expect to have it back this week. TL truck ladder 413 is scheduled for replacement in 2026 because of the 33 plus year lead times at the manufacturers. The new truck should be ordered this year. The department SCBA are obsolete and no longer meet NFPA standards. Most of them were purchased in the late 90s to early 2000s. The manufacturer no longer produces parts for the face pieces and will soon cease production of the parts for the assembly. Last year, we applied for the federal assistance to for the replacement of the packs if the village is unable to secure a grant for these purchases. Firefighter Matt Wilhelm is attending ladder company operator training.
Mike, Chief,
Chief, that
SCBA.
Take breathing apparatus.
yes,
Airbag.
scuba.
Okay.
Not underwater.
No,
Do you know an approximate ballpark cost for those and how many there are?
33. And they just came out with a new pack. That's a wireframe like we have now. It's less bulky than the ones that they've been manufacturing. I don't know what the price is on it yet, but it's over $3,000
Per.
per.
Thank you. All right. Okay.
$10,000 each.
I'm sorry?
What?
10 grand?
10 grand each.
Each.
But I think that includes bottles.
does that include an operator with it? 10 grand?
We're also buying humans.
No, I think your volunteers are worth a lot more than 10 grand.
No, contract operator.
No, we operate.
No, it's the individual thing they throw on to respond to smoke. Or you?
I warrant plenty of them.
Okay. Gotcha.
Any other questions for the chief, fire department? No? All right, moving on to the police department. Trustee Paleo, please.
Monthly police report, May 1st, 2025 through May 31st, 2025. 435 total calls for service. 0 felonies. Misdemeanors, violations, fraud 1, criminal mischief 1, petty larceny 1, 0 misdemeanor assault, harassment, aggravated harassment 2, 0 arrests. Vehicle traffic, personal injury accidents 2, property damage accidents 2, traffic summons issued 11, traffic warning issues 7, parking summons issued 2, traffic enforcement post 10, speed radar sign postings 3. Non-criminal activity, fire response calls 3, domestic incidents 1, alarm response calls 3, noise complaints 2, suspicious incident calls 8, animal complaints 6, disorderly persons call 1. Departmental assists, Town of Cornwall 9, EMS 7, 0 other agencies, 0 other police agencies, 3 welfare checks, 2 citizens assists, and 0 other COH department. During the month of May 2025, Cornwall and Hudson PD assisted with traffic security at both the annual Memorial Day Parade and Riverfest event. During the month of May 2025, Cornwall and Hudson participated in Orange County Stop DWI traffic grant funding enforcement. Request from formal COH Village Board resolution to accept the resignation of part-time COH PD police officer P.O. Brian Gayton from the Village of Cornwall and Hudson PD, effective 5/21/25. Respectfully, Chief Stephen Dixon.
Anything to note, Chief?
We had our firearms training certification.
Okay. Any questions for the chief?
I have an alibi for the fire department that might relate. Just there was one structure fire on the fire department report, and since it says fire response calls here, I feel like I'm still within the window to ask the question. What was that fire, a structure fire?
It was in the electric panel of a building. We de-energized it, and that addressed the problem until an electrician could fix it.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the Public Works Department, Trustee Brain.
Village of Cornwall and Hudson Department of Public Works, May 2025. Trash collected for the month, 112.65 tons. Recycling collected for the month, 11.5 tons. Yard waste collected for the month, 100 yards. Electronic items recycled, 5,075 pounds. Repairs and maintenance of village-owned equipment, vehicles and equipment. Mowing and trimming of village-owned properties has resumed. Sweeping of the streets, blacktop patching. Installed the Hometown Hero banners, assisted the police department with traffic control for the Memorial Day parade, and a new memorial bench was installed at the bandstand. And the superintendent notes, I am requesting the village board declare our 2017 Chevy Tahoe VIN number 1GNSKAKC6HR2795551 surplus to be listed for sale. Also, we're in the preliminary stage with the engineering team to start a review of the stormwater system on the Mountain Road and other areas. David Halverson, Superintendent of Public Works.
Any questions of Dave?
2017 Chevy Tahoe. Have we discussed that one before? The Tahoe? I'm sorry.
Whose car is that?
The,
My previous car,
Yes.
we just replaced.
okay,
We hung on to it for a little bit, we got some other stuff going on, so.
got it. Thanks.
Any questions for
Just
Dave?
add on, most likely, we'll use Auctions International, we've had really good success with them, recovering money.
How much do you think we'll get for it, Dave? Ballpark. Give me a number.
Looking at it, both, actually, the book value on the car is about $20,000, so
All right.
it's
Sounds
in good shape.
okay.
It only has 81,000 miles on it.
Okay.
Do we have that written up as a resolution to pass tonight?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions for Dave? All right. Seeing none. Trustee Galliano for the water. Water Department report.
Yes, May 2025 monthly report, monthly production 23,715,000 gallons, daily average 765,000 gallons. Samples, there were 36 samples in accordance with DOH regulations. Treatment, routine operations and maintenance, replaced chemical injectors at Jackson Avenue Water Treatment Plant. Transmission and distribution, 100 utility markouts were completed 8 water service shutoffs, turn-ons at owner's request. Weed whacked around fire hydrants. Water main valve repaired at 225 Main Street. Curve valve boxes repaired at 29 Maple Street and 21 Hasbrook Avenue. Main Street Bridge water main project completed. Installed new water meter pit and connection for future use at Emergency Services and 911 Memorial at Traffic Circle. Completed winter leak site restoration at 17 locations. Meters, read all commercial and residential water meters. 8 final water meter readings were completed. 3 residential water meters replaced. 15 water line inspections were completed. 5 miscellaneous repairs were completed, and there's a couple notes. Routine weekly property maintenance. The water superintendent and Mr. Nye attended the New York Rural Water Association technical training. The 2024 annual water quality report has been completed and distributed, and provided educational tours of Black Rock Water Treatment Plant for Cornwall Elementary School 3rd graders.
All right. Any questions of Mike?
Mike, the installed new water meter pit, and connection for future use. Is that, so that main isn't, that main is hot now, isn't it?
Correct. We took the opportunity while that area was excavated to install a connection point in case the town ever wanted to add irrigation system to those memorials up there.
Gotcha.
And also there's a water spigot so that when the Kumple boys come up to clean their father's memorial, they have access to water.
Very nice. Good planning. Thank you, Mike.
Anything else for Mike? All right, moving on. Deputy Mayor Dave Cornwall.
Okay, Town in Windsor, Town of Cornwall, Cornwall and Hudson, NW New Windsor report for May 2025. 100% response rate for primary areas. Call volume 383 total responses, 235 New Windsor, 100 Cornwall, 18 Cornwall Hudson, 17 Highland Falls, 1 Town of Newburgh, 3 City of Newburgh, 2 Montgomery, 2 West Point, 2 Woodbury, and 3 Blooming Grove. Response times 7:11 New Windsor, Cornwall 6.38, Cornwall Hudson 6.19, 7.39 overall average. Operational, no vehicle accidents, all vehicles in service and operational. MCI handled on 5/31, I don't know what that means, 5/31. 19 patients transported, all 6 ambulances staffed. 2 new EMTs were hired, 2 full-time EMTs, 1 full-time medic resigned as they moved away. Grant funding from Scopus received $61,000. Annual dinner was held on 5/31. EMS week, many agency events with great turnout. Bylaws changes reviewed by lawyer. Copy to be provided when completed. Cornwall contract renewed for 3 years.
All right.
Michael Big, Chief.
All right.
Is that MCI, is that like a collision?
MCI means mass casualty incident, and that means they have more victims than they have ambulances.
That's the one that happened on the thruway?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
May 31st, 19 people transported.
Memorial Day weekend. Okay.
Okay, moving on to resolutions. First up, we have Dave's request to purchase a wood chipper. Dave, fill us in.
It's to replace our 1998 wood chipper. It's outlived its useful life. So looking to purchase this, it's off the Sourcewell contract, and we will be using New York State CHIPS funds to pay for it. It has been approved by New York State for purchase.
Questions, concerns, trustees?
Yes, I just have a question. Dave, could you just tell the board what you did as far as your research on the product? So in other words, did you look at other sources? Did you look for a used product? Did you, with just a few hundred hours on it? Did you look, I know that there's a problem you had mentioned about repairing this one, given its age. Could you just tell the board a little bit more about your process?
Well, getting a piece of equipment that old, trying to replace it. We've replaced the clutch, we've replaced all the bearings. We've done that routine maintenance through the years. Its motor's tired. They wear out, it's had a lot of hours on it, so it's basically time for replacement. We've had a lot of problems with it jamming up in a storm when you really need it, when it's raining and we have to get the roads open. We've been borrowing a piece of equipment from the town. So, did the best research I could to find a adequate replacement. It's on the Sourcewell contract, which is competitively bid, the price is down.
That's the state bid price, basically.
It's not actually state bid, it's approved by New York State.
To use
I'll let Joe answer that.
We've been getting a lot of items from the Sourcewell agency, I'll call it. Sourcewell is actually a subsidiary of the state of Minnesota. So they let their contracts through a very similar process as New York State competitive bidding. So Sourcewell goes through that process for the state of Minnesota. Under New York State's piggybacking authorization, if the state of Minnesota and Sourcewell make it available to New York, which in this case they have, we can use that Sourcewell bid essentially as if it were a New York State let contract.
Steve, is the chipper still working right now?
Yes.
So, okay. So what's the retail of that?
That's gonna have very little resale value because of its age.
No. The retail of the new unit.
Oh,
versus
the Sourcewell price is, I think it was $12,000 off the list price of the vehicle, the piece of equipment. It's listed on that, sheet that I gave you. If you bear with me a second, I'll find it. Retail price is $77,130. You get 12% off on the Sourcewell contract, which is $9,255.60, which brings it to $68,674.
What are your thoughts on used wood chippers?
I wouldn't want to buy somebody's used equipment for us. That's just my personal opinion. When we need it to work. And that's one of the big things, especially with the fall, with hurricane season and stuff. Wouldn't be the first time we've had multiple roads closed at one time.
Dave, is Sourcewell, is this the only,
Avenue? No, we could go out to competitive bid, but we have to have the attorney draw up the documents.
May I ask a follow-up?
absolutely. How about it?
So just to follow up on trustee Paliotta's question, what would the process be for finding a used chipper? I know you said you're not comfortable with it, but if you were able to find one that's not, that's been slightly used or is in relatively good condition, what's the process for that?
We'd have to go out to bid for it. We can't just buy somebody's used equipment. We can't spend village money that way. We'd have to go and competitively bid a used piece of equipment.
3 bids, like regular?
No, we'd have to go out to bid.
We
can't get quotes. We'd have to go out to bid, solicit, advertise, pay for the advertisements in the papers, wait for the returns, wait for the attorneys for his documents. That's why Sourcewell does this stuff for everybody. They're doing the work, and New York State doesn't do a lot of bidding anymore. They actually got away from the vehicles. We use the vehicle marketplace now, which is authorized by the New York State.
Similar to Sourcewell.
Similar to Sourcewell, it's just vehicle marketplace, and it's tagged as New York State.
And the 1998 was bought new 27 years ago?
Yes.
And we kept it running
Yes.
27 years?
Yes.
And how old is the town's one, chipper? Do you know offhand?
About a year and a half.
So they have a new one.
Yeah, theirs was about the same age as ours, and it went first.
Okay.
Thoughts?
And any questions about using the CHIPS funds? Does anybody on the board have any questions about using the CHIPS funds?
I know, yeah, that was, we cleared that with Megan, the treasurer, in regards to using the CHIP funds, right, Dave?
Yeah, she doesn't have anything to say about that. That's the state.
Yeah,
But yes,
when I say
she
cleared.
was concerned about it, but I
Well, she cleared it with the state.
provided her with all the documents that she needed.
Right, that they Because
They approved
this is the first time I ever heard that we can use the CHIPS funds for,
I did this about, it was 2011. Right around Hurricane Irene, I replaced our Bobcat. I purchased our Bobcat that we have now off of that.
all right.
Off that program, I should say.
Any other questions, Bill? Anybody else?
Just fleet questions in general about all of our equipment. The fire department plan where they presented us with the age of every piece and, you know, kind of ran down what we're likely to see in the future is awesome. I know I think you have a lot more small pieces and one-off. I think it would be ideally amazing to have that. And I know we have an inventory of some sort, right? It'd be cool just to know the ages and
I think we've done a very good job of replacing our equipment without bonding and any long-term debt. So, I mean, it's your guys' pleasure.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of it.
You guys good? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dave. So, I will, let's see, okay. I'm going to propose a resolution for the board to authorize the purchase of a wood chipper for the Department of Public Works. Whereas the Village Cornwall Hudson Public Works Department is in need of a wood chipper for its ongoing operations, and whereas the subject wood chipper shall be purchased from the Westchester Tractor Inc. of Brewster, New York through an approved competitively and publicly bid contract by Sourcewell, a state of Minnesota purchasing cooperative that conducts its own competitive bidding process, contract number 10925-BAN. And whereas the Sourcewell contract for wood chippers is available for use by other governmental entities through the piggybacking process and has been awarded to the lowest responsible bidder or on the basis of best value consistent with General Municipal Law Section 103, which permits the village to make the aforesaid purchase without the need for further competitive bidding. And whereas the Village of Cornwall and Hudson finds that it's in the best interest of the village to purchase the aforementioned wood chipper, now therefore it be hereby resolved that the Village Board of Village of Cornwall and Hudson hereby authorizes the purchase of a wood chipper from Westchester Tractor Inc. of Brewster, New York in the amount not to exceed $68,674.40 in accordance with the Sourcewell contract listed above. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Dave. Okay. Next up, we have the surplus of the 2017 Tahoe, which Dave brought up before. So I'll make the motion to declare our 2017 Chevy Tahoe VIN number 1GNSKAKC 6HR2795551 surplus to listed for sale. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Dave. All right, moving on to donation to the Independence Day Committee. So normally, years ago, we used to donate $500 to the Independence Day Committee. Several years ago, I'd say probably about 4 or 5 years ago, we upped that to $1,000. So I'll make a motion to authorize the donation of $1,000 to the Independence Day Committee. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
And in addition to that, they're coming out with it. The journal is just online, right? Or is it published? Is it published?
It's online.
It's just online. Yeah, it's the 75th anniversary of the 4th of July celebration. So Doris, with the input of some of the trustees, put together a journal ad just congratulating the 75th anniversary. So thank you for doing that. You can see that online, and that's due like the 20. Okay, very good. Thank you for doing that.
And they were very pleased with it. They thought it looked great, just so you know.
Yeah, it shows the old
The
bandstand that was in the middle of the road in 1950 up to the new one. So
I don't remember that one.
you don't remember that one, Dave? All right. Now we're moving on to the.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Before you move off the
Yes.
4th of July, does the village board want us to provide services at the fireworks like we've done for the last couple of years? I have not been asked as of yet. I just want to make sure.
Provide.
Blocking the road at Hudson Street and First Street. Because I do have to hire people to work overtime to do that, so I'd just like to know ahead of time.
Yes. Yes.
You do want it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yep. And also, the fuel management, if you're on resolutions, just in case.
I'm sorry, I was listening to him.
The fuel management system.
Oh, no, I have that, Dave.
Okay.
I got that, yeah. I added that to the end. Yeah, I got that. Okay, moving on to the property findings and determinations. Okay, this is in regards to 10 Washington Street or Avenue, I get that right. 10 Washington, why did I never get it right? Street or Ave?
It is 10 Washington.
Street or Ave, I never.
Oh.
Street, okay. All right, this is in regards to 10 Washington Street, where we held the public hearing back in April. We continued it through May 19th. This is to repair the outside of the exterior of the premises as well as the area surrounding the home as well as the inside of the home. So.
And Mr. Mayor, I do have color copies of the resolution.
Yeah, I had the resolution. I was gonna read off portions of it.
Yeah, no, but I have color copies for all the board members that would make it easier to follow.
You guys want?
Yeah. For all the board members, what you emailed.
Oh, okay,
I
okay,
printed
good.
for all the board.
Thank you.
So at this point, what we're doing is that the public hearing was closed at the last work session in May. Excuse me, the business meeting in May, on May 19th. And at this point, Joe McKay's office put together findings and determinations based on the testimony that was given by our code enforcement officer, the questions that he answered, the film that you took of the inside of the building and the exterior of the building, as well as statements by the police officer who accompanied you when you inspected the building. So at this point, what we're doing is we're going to adopt a resolution accepting the findings and determinations, and then our next step in this process is I'll read off the relevant portions of the resolution, but with respect to the exterior of the building, it's going to authorize the DPW department to clean up the area or to hire an entity to do the same, all right? And when I say clean up the area, it's anything that can be worth saving, can be either, we'll store it either on the premises on the outside, or export it to somewhere else, but most of the stuff has already been sitting out there, so that's one thing that needs to be done. The second thing is, yes.
Well, the exterminating on the outside.
Yes, and in accordance with what Manny has recommended, our code enforcement officer, is to have an exterminator come to the exterior of the building prior to anyone coming in, either DPW workers or the contractors doing any clearing of the property. So we'll do that too. The other portion of this hearing, the findings and determinations, is that there's a couple of steps to this. And now we're talking about the interior of the building, which is based upon our hearing. The evidence in the hearing is filled with, lack of a better term, debris. Yeah, debris. So in speaking with our council, what we're going to try to do is a couple things. One is we're finishing out with our matter that's before the town, or we have finished that one out.
Yeah, the only thing left to do in the town court proceeding, because we essentially got a default judgment from the town judge for a fine. I don't recall the amount. Since the respondent never appeared, we were going to submit, well, the judge asked us to essentially submit a judgment for his signature as to the amount of the fine.
Right. And the monies that we're expending in doing this will be levied on the property owner. So now, moving to the interior, the next step is we've determined that while there is an occupant of the premises, the owners on the deed have passed away. So now what we have to do is we have to deal with most likely the public administrator for the county of Orange, who would in this case represent the owner in an estate proceeding. We would end up asking the public administrator, one, to get involved to represent the estate. Two, we would ask the court, this would be going before the surrogate's court, we'd be asking the court then to provide us an order, a warrant to actually go in if in fact the current occupant doesn't repair within 30 days. So right now the occupant can, within 30 days, remove the debris and make it a safe place to live.
And the 30-day time period was something that our code doesn't give a specific time. The 30 days was just a number I put in as a placeholder. Obviously, you can't, in theory, even if the property owner was to do this, it would be a long period of time. If you gave 5 days or 10 days, it's almost a phantom deadline because you could never do the kind of work. So, again, as a placeholder, I put 30 days in there. I guess it gives the board an opportunity so that if within 30 days some type of work is started, you could modify your determination accordingly. But I didn't want, since what we have attempted to do through all of this is a step-by-step methodical process to meet all of our multiple statutory and due process milestones. So that's why we've initiated this in town court. When there was no appearance, we came to the village board for the alternate procedure. Now we know we're dealing with an estate. I don't want to give a deadline, or I wouldn't propose to the board to give a deadline that's so short that it really couldn't be complied with. On the other hand, as a practical matter, we expect that there's not going to be any work done. So unless the board has some reason to make it longer or shorter, it will take at least 30 days, I think, to get into surrogate or supreme or wherever this is going to go.
Right. So no, I think 30 days is very reasonable considering the amount of time that's already been given. As part of the resolution, it reads that after the 30-day period, the village can go in and repair, meaning remove the debris. It also says demolish the property. Right. We're not going to do that. But before we take that next step of actually, once we get an order, well, first of all, let me back up. Once the 30 days run, if nothing is done, the code enforcement officer will advise us nothing has been done. We're not going to demolish the premises. So, but at least the code enforcement officer will let us know. As that's going on, Joe's going to bring this to the public administrator. They will do their part. Consistent with what we've said before is we're cognizant of the fact who the occupant is. Joe is already engaged, has spoken to previously, and is going to re-engage with the Department of Social Services to help the occupant out. Because it may get to the point where she has to be removed from the premises, so she has to leave the premises and can no longer live there in order for the premises to be clean. So we're very cognizant of that. We're trying to enlist the help of the Department of Social Services. So that being said, I'm just this is a lengthy findings and determination. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to read some relevant portions so the public understands. So I'll just read off some of the whereas clauses and some of the findings. Yes.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
So the one paragraph I mentioned is 1, 2, 3. It's the fourth paragraph from
Resolved.
the last. Yeah, it's the 1, 2, 3. It's the fourth page. It's highlighted in yellow.
Okay, got it. Right.
It's the one that you just spoke of.
Yes.
And right, it does say right now, should the repairs not be completed within the 30 days, then the superintendent and the CEO can take action to repair or secure or demolish and remove the building. We know we're not going to do that. The only thing I mentioned to you is a for instance. Window is broken, or they clean up the property and realize, I don't know, there's no basement windows, so you want to try to secure the premises. So if there's some minor repair, I could see authorizing that to be performed to safeguard the premises, right? As opposed to making any interior renovations or, just that, relatively innocuous minor repairs to safeguard the property. It's just the way the paragraph is written right now. I think we'd have to be clear. And one of the things I said is maybe we should just include some text in this one paragraph that says, if the code enforcement officer or the superintendent of public works believes it necessary to make some type of repair, or if you just set a limit, say they can make a repair up to $1,500 or something, that would give them a gauge, and then if there's something they come across more than that, they would need to come back for board approval. So there wouldn't be any interior renovation or remodeling or work, or it's just that the way it's written now, I guess the reason the way it's written now is because we don't want to handcuff the superintendent and the CEO. But on the other hand, we know we do need to go to Supreme or circuits with this.
And it's within the confines of the statute. So.
Yeah, I mean, we're right. This paragraph tracks the language of the statute, as you would imagine. Right.
Okay. All right, so I'll read off the portions of the resolution, and I'll seek its adoption. So it's a resolution of the Village Board of the Village of Cornwall and Hudson, affirming the order to abate and remedy the property violations pursuant to Chapter 61 and 120 of the Village Code, and for the condemnation of the property pursuant to New York State Property Maintenance Code, Section 103, located at 10 Washington Street, Section Block and Lot 107-5-10. So in relevant portion, whereas the board is obligated to take action to protect the health, safety, and general welfare of persons and property in the village, whereas the code enforcement officer has made several inspections of the property located at 10 Washington Street after numerous complaints from neighbors, and who has previously notified the property owner in writing of all the violations. Whereas on October 23rd, the code enforcement officer issued a written order to remedy, giving notice of the property maintenance violation. Whereas in September 25th of 2024, the code enforcement officer issued a summons and complaint, giving notice of the property maintenance violations. Whereas the village board is empowered by Chapter 61 and 120 of the Village Code to order the property owners to abate, cure, remove, prevent, or desist violations of the village's property maintenance code. Whereas after review of the code enforcement officer's reports and documentation and photographs included therein, after due deliberation thereon by the village board on April 7th, 2025, issued an order determining that the property located at section 107-5-10 within the village, also known as 10 Washington Street, is being kept in violation of chapters 61 and 120, and therefore is a threat to public health, where the village board scheduled a public hearing held on April 21st, and to determine whether or not the order to abate and remedy the property maintenance violations on the property of Kathy Lynn Sudo and other occupants or under tenants at 10 Washington Street should be affirmed. That whereas the notice was served on Kathy Lynn Sudo on the date, place, and time of the hearing scheduled pursuant to both chapters of the Village Code, whereas Ms. Sudo personally advised the code enforcement officer that no other occupants reside at the property. whereas a public hearing was held on April 21st, in which Kathy Linsuda did not appear, whereas the code enforcement officer presented reports and video footage concerning the premises, which were acknowledged and accepted by the village board, whereas the code enforcement officer provided extensive testimony concerning the condition of the premises, whereas the neighboring property owners provided statements during the public hearing concerning the condition of the premises, including the accumulation of debris and garbage. Whereas based upon Kathy Linsudo's failure to appear, the village board decided to continue the public hearing to May 12th. Then we extended it to May 19th, whereas the village provided her written notice of the continuation of the hearing. And whereas no further comment was made from the public, the village board closed the hearing on May 19th. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the village board affirms the April 7th, 2025 order to abate and remedy the property maintenance violations on the property occupied by Kathy Linsudo or any under tenants. Resolved that pursuant to the Village Code 120, the village board authorizes Superintendent of Public Works together with the code enforcement officer to take such actions as may be necessary to cure and eliminate the exterior property maintenance violations on the premises, authorizing the Department of Public Works or other such persons, department or independent contractor shall deem appropriate to remove, cut or trim brush, grass, rubbish, weeds, etc. Resolved that pursuant to the Village Code, Chapter 61-8, the village board directs the owners of the property and or its occupants, Kathy Linsudo, to complete the following repairs to the interior of the building within 30 days, including but not limited to repairs required to comply with the code section 61-2E, to restore the premises to a safe and sanitary condition by removing all garbage, clutter, and unsanitary items from within the building. Repairs required to comply with the code section 61-2F, to restore sanitation facilities to the premises, including running water and operable kitchen and bathroom facilities. Resolved that should the foregoing repairs required by Chapter 61 of the Village Code not be completed within 30 days of this resolution, the Superintendent of Public Works, along with the code enforcement officer, may take such actions necessary to repair and secure or demolish and remove the unsafe building. And it be further resolved that the costs associated with the same, including attorney fees, shall be assessed against the land on which such building is located. So resolved that the village board of the Village of Cornwall and Hudson directs the law firm of Catania, Mahone and Ryder PLLC is authorized to commence an action in a court of appropriate jurisdiction to implement the findings set forth above and to obtain authorization to make required repairs and otherwise remove the garbage, etc., from the premises. So I will seek adoption of this resolution. May I have a second?
Second.
And I'll do it as per, I'll include the entire document as part of the resolution, because I didn't read the whole thing. Any discussion? Joe, do you have something? Yes.
So just on that highlighted paragraph,
Yes.
we just need to make some type of a clarification.
That we are not going to demolish the building.
Well, that's true.
Yes.
That's true. And then again, I just throw out for discussion purposes, whether you just say to authorize the superintendent and the CEO to have repairs made of up to
Oh, the
X
amount.
or something.
I'd say this, that we can, I'd say, what, Dave, how much, the last time you had, have you done something similar to this? I know we've had the property maintained just for cutting the lawn and so forth.
The only thing we've done was Payson Road. Sorry, the only thing we've done is Payson Road recently.
To do with respect to removing debris on the outside of the premises?
No, just mowing Payson Road.
Well, what Joe is suggesting is that we authorize you up to a certain amount, to expend a certain amount of money without having come back to the board to seek authorization. So you can either contract it out, which I think you intended on doing. Is that true?
We're better off that way. We have a lot of work we have to get done this summer, and weather has not been cooperating.
Yes,
So,
So let me clarify. So there are really two issues.
Yeah.
I was specifically talking about the Chapter 61 which is the repair of the structure. But you're correct, so you raise an issue. The resolution essentially authorizes Dave
Yes,
to either retain a contractor or to have our guys do it.
yes.
If Dave decides that he will not do this in-house and it will be contracted out, then Dave, you'd follow our bidding guidelines, right? You'd get a couple quotes, and if it's within the bidding, within our procurement guidelines,
Right.
then you would do that. Once you get capped out at that, if it's more, I don't know what, did they go up to 19? Or did they go up to 10 on our procurement? I don't recall, but once it exceeds that limit,
Actually, Public Works contracts, I think, are under 30, right?
It's 20,000 before you
no,
go out
right,
to
that's
bid.
before,
Under
right,
20.
that's before we get to the bidding, right? So,
All right, so we don't have to, he doesn't have.
hopefully it won't be that, you know.
No, we're not gonna spend
Then we
that.
Okay, so he automatically has to come back to us anyway if it goes above $20,000, so we don't.
Well, that's for public bidding, right,
Yes.
correct. This is all for exterior,
Yes,
so that's fine. He'll follow the procurement
right, so we
guidelines.
don't have, we don't have to add anything to the motion because he's gonna follow the
That's,
procurement.
that's fine. And then, again, if, just with respect to repairs, whether there's a minimum
On the
threshold
structure.
set, yeah, or if you just want to,
Can you explain why we would be doing repairs on the outside of the
Well,
structure?
I think what Joe meant.
Board up.
I think what Joe meant was, when they clean up and they find a broken window and a skunk's running in, they're gonna fix that window.
Yeah.
maybe, yeah, well, I mean, at least, it's the question of whether something like that would happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Manny's done some inspections, but once we start to remove the stuff with the dumpster, it could change drastically.
And I know I don't want to make this more complicated
I know.
than it already is. Just trying to be practical about
Does
it.
Manny have a suggested amount that you think we might run into?
Nothing above, I don't think we should do anything above $5,000,
That's what I was thinking. All right.
5,000 or less.
For the structure,
For anything that may consider to be an emergency repair,
Yeah.
to make it safe, if we're gonna contract it out, we're not gonna do it ourselves, we should not exceed $5,000.
And just for clarity, this is while we're doing the exterior work, which we already anticipate we're gonna incur some expense to the village for doing this exterior work of cleanup. This is if we have to touch the structure and do something, we're just making provision for that to happen on an exigent basis if necessary.
right,
Is
as
that what the
Manny,
point of this is?
yes, as Manny said, if it's a repair, it's required to make it safe,
Okay.
or to keep it closed. Right.
Manny,
You won't be able to see those things until,
Does the structure, I haven't been around the back that much, does the structure have a exterior basement entrance?
There is through the garage, yes.
Garage door.
Yeah, the garage
Oh,
door. in
just the
front.
garage door.
Yeah, that's it,
So no Bilko doors, none of that?
no.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so you know what I'm
But
gonna
I
do?
haven't sniffed around there.
Yeah, no, there's no Velcro door.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna amend the motion, amend the resolution to also include, also providing that the superintendent of public works cannot expend funds beyond the amount, I'll make it $10,000 to secure the premises, secure or repair the premises.
That's exterior of the building.
Just the building, no, just the building
Not doing
itself.
anything inside.
No.
Right, this is just if there needs to be a repair, a broken window or something like that.
That's fine.
Okay.
10,000 or 5, I know Manny said
I
5.
said 10, Tiffany said 10,
Okay, that's fine.
I don't know
Just-
what,
just
it's
trying to get
never
it-
gonna get to that
Yes,
amount, but,
right, okay.
okay.
And again, just also for clarity, any amount expended in this regard is gonna be levied.
Yes, yes, correct. All right. Can I get a second on the amended motion? Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right. Very good. Thank you, Joe, for that. All right. Did that. All right. Police Officer Gayton's resignation. So we received a letter dated May 21st, 2025, from Police Officer Brian Gayton. Please accept this letter as a formal notice of my resignation from my position as a police officer with the Cornwall and Hudson Police Department effective immediately. After thoughtful consideration, I've decided to step down in order to focus on the next phase of my professional and personal journey. That decision was not made lightly, as I've valued my time with the department and an opportunity to serve the public alongside dedicated colleagues. I appreciate the training, experience, and support provided during my time here. Thank you again for the opportunity to be a part of this department. Sincerely, Brian Gayton. So I will make a motion to accept the resignation of part-time police officer Brian Gayton as of May 21st, 2025, with the thanks of the village. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, fund balance transfer for the fire department, capital reserve. So we've beaten this dead horse for months now. So what, at the end of the day, we're going to allot $400,000 towards the fire department towards the purchase of the fire apparatus that we've already contracted with for, it's supposed to be delivered, Chief, December of 2026, right? A portion of it will go into the capital reserve, and a portion will be set aside in our night class account so it can earn as much interest as possible. All right, so I'm going to make a motion to transfer $110,000 from fund balance to the fire department reserve. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, that's the amount that's going into the capital reserve, that line. All right, now, I'm going to make a motion to transfer $290,000 from general fund into the night class fire department expenditure sub-account. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your patience, Chief. Now, fee waivers. All right, we have a few requests for fee waivers for the various, let's see, our pavilion, the shelter. So we consolidated all these. We've discussed this. I will make a motion.
Point to, oh, okay, we're just voting on them all.
Yeah,
Okay,
yes,
good.
yeah.
Just was gonna point to that word right there.
Oh. Yes, no, I know. I saw that before, Billy. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to make a motion to waive the fees on the following rentals of the Village of Cornwall and Hudson properties. From Janelle Stahn, from the Cornwall United Soccer Club, the Cornwall Presbyterian Church, and Jason Semo. The limit of 10 cars is also waived for the Stahn Cornwall Presbyterian Church and Semo events. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Let's see, Article 7 proceeding. All right, this resolution pertains to our application before the Board of Assessment Review for our Catskill Water property. When we authorized the attorney for the village to submit the application before the board, we did not have the appraisal. It was not completed by then. And it was not completed within the time limit after the decision. I believe, didn't they
We
get
haven't received this decision yet unless we got something today, right?
We've got nothing in writing.
But we didn't have an appraisal at the time of the hearing.
Right, of the hearing, correct. So now we're authorizing the attorney to beginning Article 7 tax certiorari proceeding against the town. So I'm going to propose a resolution to seek its adoption, whereas certain properties owned by the Village of Cornwall and Hudson are located within the boundaries of the town of Cornwall. Whereas included among these properties is one of the village's water treatment plants located at 55 Palomino Place, that's section block and lot 4-2-56. And whereas the village has filed an application with the town of Cornwall Board of Assessment Review objecting to the town's real property assessment of the aforementioned property located within the town's boundaries. And whereas if the village's application is denied, or its determination is otherwise unsatisfactory to the village, it may become necessary to commence a tax certiorari proceeding against the town. Now, therefore, it is hereby resolved that the attorneys for the village are authorized to commence a real property tax law, Article 7, tax certiorari proceeding against the town concerning the assessment of the village's water treatment plant. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much, Joe.
I guess I have discussion, but when do we anticipate, is the other opinion as to the value? What's
Well,
word?
the appraisal?
Appraisal.
I'm not sure when we expect the appraisal. Mike may have a better idea. But just as to, the reason that we're doing this now is the roll gets finalized on July 1st. It's a 30-day statute of limitations. So by July 31st, we have to have the petition in. So it's going to be one of these hurry up and wait
Right.
issues.
And it may be that we get the appraisal in time before we have a decision from the Board of Assessment Review, and we can just add that to our application? Oh, we can't add it to the application? Okay.
They're not gonna go back and look at
No,
it.
we're essentially just meeting the thresholds to maintain our right to pursue it further. That's really what we're doing.
All right. Mike, no indication on when, right?
No, I spoke to our engineer, Jason's office today. I spoke to him directly. He hopes to have his documents that the appraiser needs. Either he was going to email them tonight or first thing in the morning, and then we'll schedule a call with Joe's office and the appraiser to go over everything.
That's why we're getting it done now. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Moving on. Next resolution is the Windsor EMS schedule of fees. If you remember back in May, we signed off on the New Windsor EMS contract with the town of Cornwall. Part of that, what they didn't have was the updated EMS schedule of fees. This does not affect our contract, the amount that we're paying, our portion of the contract. So this is just to update the contract to include the updated 2025 rate schedule. Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to accept the revised schedule of fees as submitted on the May 22nd, 2025 contract from New Windsor EMS. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just on this handout we have, I have Schedule A and Schedule B, and they look to be describing the same. They're two different
Yes.
lists of amounts, but it seems to be describing the same service codes.
I believe what happened was the Schedule B is the old schedule. That's why they're updating the Schedule A with the 2025 rate, because I can tell you this, it didn't go down.
Right, so it's vice versa.
Yeah,
Schedule
it's the
A is
other way
probably
around.
24, right?
Yeah,
A is
yes,
the old,
yes.
B is the
And then, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's actually what happened too. They put the wrong one in. So, may I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, now, moving on to Dave. All right. Dave, you requested this morning in regard to having DPW purchase a fuel, what's it called, fuel master management system. Can you describe it for the board, please?
Yeah, sure. I approached the board probably 6 or 8 months ago when we first started having problems with this system. And I reached out to other vendors, and once again, the system went down last week. It shut us down completely. We could not pump fuel. I had to get the service company to come in. They were very responsive. They came in, they were able to bypass the system for a day and a half until we could use some bubble gum and stuff to get it up and going again. It's time to replace the system. The system that was put in, it's the first real fuel management system that the village really had. It's called Gas Boy.
Yeah.
Its
Pretty common.
parent company is actually from Israel, and they're not making the system that we have anymore. So our service people, American Petroleum out of Walden, they recommended the Fuel Master system, same thing, it's on the Sourcewell contract. It's predominantly used by construction and local and statewide government agencies. It's a good system. I've got two different quotes. What I presented you with is the quote that will be a cloud-based system. It won't be stored on our server anymore. Obviously, there's a yearly subscription fee for that, but that's minimal compared to the outlay for getting this up and going. We're looking at about $21,000 to split between 5 departments that use the fuel system. Because one department shouldn't be paying for that, obviously. They will come in, they do all the hard work. They'll transfer all our data from our current system to the new system, so we don't have to change anybody's. As Charlie knows, everybody has a ID, and vehicles have IDs.
Is it
So
a
you have
card
to use
system or
2
a
parts to get fuel. Everything will stay the same.
Card system or punch system?
Excuse me?
Card system?
Punch system,
Punch
keypad,
system.
keypad. Cards get lost.
Yeah, they do.
All right.
Everybody has their own individual ID, and each vehicle has its own individual ID. I've been having problems with the system for quite a while. The system that we have now does not integrate with Windows 11, which everybody switched to. Our IT department insisted that we had to switch to it. And when they did, our system doesn't work with that. So for the last year or so, I've been doing all the billing by hand, which takes a little extra time. It's not real, but it's just more work.
Understood.
So
How old was that system, Dave? Because I remember when.
I don't remember exactly when it was put in because
I know it took a while to implement.
it was put in during Mike's predecessor, Bob June, had that system put in. He used to take care of the fuel system, and when he retired, it became mine.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Dave?
Gotta have it.
Right.
With the cloud-based, one of the things, I'll just go out, you can monitor your tanks, which we have, and how much fuel we have in them, and you can do that stuff remotely. You don't have to be in the office anymore, which
Very good.
will make it a lot easier for getting deliveries and making sure that we don't run out of fuel, which, knock on wood, hasn't happened in a long time.
All right. Understood. Thank you. All right. I'm going to propose a resolution and seek its adoption. Resolution of the Village Board of the Village of Cornwall and Hudson authorizing the purchase of a Fuel Master Syntec Legacy FMU-2500 fuel management system. Whereas the Village of Cornwall and Hudson's fuel management system has become outdated and parts no longer available to make repairs to the system, and whereas the subject fuel management shall be purchased from American Petroleum Equipment and Construction Company, Inc. of Walden, New York, through an approved competitively and publicly bid contract by Sourcewell, a state of Minnesota purchasing cooperative that conducts its own competitive bidding process, contract number 093920-SYS, and whereas the Sourcewell contract for the fuel management system is available for use by other governmental entities through the piggybacking process and has been awarded to the lowest responsible bidder on the basis of best value consistent with the general municipal law, section 103, which permits the village to make the aforesaid purchase without the need for further competitive bidding. And whereas the Village of Cornwall and Hudson finds that it's in the best interest of the village to purchase the aforementioned fuel management system, now therefore it is hereby resolved that the Village Board of the Village of Cornwall and Hudson hereby authorizes the purchase of a new Fuel Master Syntec Legacy FMU-2500 fuel management system with installation from the American Petroleum Equipment and Construction Company of Walden, New York, in the amount not to exceed $21,376.75 in accordance with the Sourcewell contract listed above. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Moving on to, all right, FYI. No, I don't have, yeah, well, we'll wait for that, yeah, next month. Okay. With respect to, all right, other business, excuse me. All right, first, I'm not going to go in depth in regards to the Stone Hollow performance bond. We've discussed that with council, attorney-client session. Suffice it to say that the village along with the town is bird dogging this and have met with the developer. I know there was supposed to be a follow-on meeting, Mike, but according to your email, that did not happen. But the two municipalities are working together to have the developer complete his work, dedicate the roadway, dedicate what else, Mike? The outstanding fees, yes.
Dedicate the water system and the sewer system.
Yes, okay. All right, so moving on. The connector pollinator trail, as I described at the work session, I was in touch with Kate Krimsky. They're finally moving on this. It's not their fault. The volunteers, the connector pollinator trail is right where our Welcome to the Village of Cornwall and Hudson sign is. A group of volunteers are going to put time into this, planting native species plants. The town is volunteered to provide $500 in boulders that are going to be situated around the sign, outside of the 8-foot radius of the utility pole. The village has agreed to transport the soil, compost, and mulch from the Donahue farm to the site. The village is also going to purchase up to $1,000 in native plants from the Beacon Nursery. One Nature Nursery, yes, Dave?
Did you see the emails today?
No. Oh, no? Yes.
They're looking to do this
Yes.
this week, Wednesday.
That's
They were
2
under-
days away from.
They are under the assumption that we are purchasing the topsoil and mulch for them. I got a request for 18 cubic yards of topsoil and 2 cubic yards of mulch, which comes to about $1,000, but they're looking for it on Wednesday. And they're looking for us in town to build the wall and put that stuff together Wednesday, so the volunteers can plant the flowers.
Okay, see, this was completely, okay. That's not gonna happen. Okay.
I told her I had to speak to you in
Yes.
the email, which I copied you on, but I guess you didn't get it today.
Okay. This was not consistent with what Kate and I discussed. In fact,
But she had the volunteers set up for that date, though.
no. Okay, I had the discussion with Kate last week, and this was supposed to happen either on a Saturday.
Yes.
And it wasn't necessarily this Saturday, it might have been, or the following Saturday. So it wasn't supposed to happen on a Wednesday. And my understanding that there was enough compost that we were gonna deliver from Donahue to the site. And, yeah.
She gave me the specific soil she wants. A well-draining topsoil.
Okay. And prior to that was the town was going to deliver the boulders, which would be put in place. So,
I spoke with Tom this afternoon. He said he will get the boulders.
okay,
And we can send a couple guys on Wednesday to do it,
yes.
so long as the village board is willing to purchase the,
How much is
we're talking about $1,000,
just for soil?
just for the soil and the mulch.
And the mulch, was there a spec for the mulch? Was it a particular color?
Like
or
the black mulch to cover the,
Black mulch.
like the,
Because there's a lot of wood chips available at Donahue Farm if we want to just use wood chips as mulch, which is
Yeah.
free and in our possession.
Dave's not the one that can make that call.
I see him not making that call.
Okay, so, hold on, let me just check something. I got something from.
I don't have dates.
Okay, so here's the issue, and that is, we agreed to spend $1,000 on the plants, but now it's another $1,000 for the soil.
I believe they purchased the plants, right?
Yes.
Have they picked
Yes.
them up?
They haven't picked them up, but the check has been written for it,
Do you know what the?
$1,000.
It's actually $1,000, okay. Okay, board. What do you think about spending, Dave spending another $1,000? Yes, Dave, you get to spend $1,000.
It's at the board's will,
Yeah.
so I'm not gonna say yes or no.
And who are the decision makers on the, or who are the applicants, as it were? Not applicants, but
CACC is
it's this,
doing
that's who's doing it?
It's,
through the town and the village.
I can only imagine that they would be excited at the prospect of using local wood chips that have been sourced from within the very watershed where they'll be placed.
That's the inexpensive part.
That's the inexpensive part, the soil costs and everything, yeah.
all right, I want to put a nail in this thing. It's been going on way too long, so I don't have an objection to spending another $1,000 on soil, and mulch. Does anybody have an objection to that? Okay. So, Dave, I'm going to make a motion to yes, trustee Panleona?
No, I was just
Okay.
gonna say, we do need to know these things ahead of time for our.
I did, yeah, Kate and I spoke about this, I did, and this wasn't raised, but, all right, we can get her done, as they said.
I'm sure
So-
it's actually an oversight.
I get it, understood, it happens.
And just,
So-
sorry.
Yes.
It's always the small figures that
Yeah.
end up the most discussion. This is all in abeyance of the New York Forward grant money actually coming to us, right?
Yes,
I mean,
yeah.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
true.
there's hundreds of thousands of dollars holding.
Yes, true.
Whenever that.
So putting it in perspective, so I'm gonna make a motion for the Village Department of Public Works to expend up to $1,000 on soil and compost for the connector pollinator trail. Dave, will you, can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Now, can you get this delivered by Wednesday?
We will pick it up and bring it.
Okay, all right. All right, Dave, thank you very much.
I just wanted to make sure that everybody was okay with it.
Okay.
My apologies when I had you on the phone today, that wasn't on the top.
Yeah, no worries. It's fine. Like, I spoke to Kate quite a bit. I'm sure it was just an oversight, so.
It was.
Yes,
I
I
was
get
at
it.
that meeting. I liaison their meetings every month.
Oh, so I can blame it on you, Dave.
You can blame it on me.
Good.
I
All
take
right.
full responsibility
Okay.
for it.
Moving on, EV charging station. Bill,
We are waiting on Central Hudson to give Integra Energy a date. It's expected to be in early July, after school is out. They understand the location. They understand that we are doing the trenching from the pole where the drop will be over to the location of the charger at Donahue Memorial Park. They also understand that the fire department has requested at the bandstand parking lot to ensure that the charger is placed in such a way that the new stripes for the two new parking spots can be, well, not new parking spots, but that they can show that there's a buffer. There'll be a buffer between those two spots and the next adjacent spot. And that's it. The head of engineering called me. He said they're just waiting on that timing, and he is asking them to commit to it, and he will let us know as soon as they have it.
very good. Thank you, Bill. And you're up next too, Bill, in regards to the street lighting purchase.
Central Hudson sent us an inventory. We have 159 LED streetlights, 162 sodium, and 2 metal halides. So about 50% of our streetlights are LED, and that sort of gives us a couple of options. One is there's an agency that can offer to help us purchase those lights ourselves, in which case we would be responsible for maintenance and replacement of the lights, but we would replace them with LEDs so that our overall electric charges for the lighting would be reduced. There's another company that also offers a similar service, and they reached out to me. So if we're exploring those options, we can get calculations from them based on the number of lights that we're talking about. And also the utility itself, Central Hudson, may be capable of replacing those lights just to reduce our electricity charges.
Wait to
But
hear back from them on that.
yeah.
We're not
But
sure.
we don't know the cost of that, and that's Dave has an inquiry out to them. So there's a couple of options here. It's not a slam dunk to take ownership of them necessarily because we would be responsible for maintenance costs. Some of those costs are already baked into our Central Hudson service. So we're going to look at all we're going to calculate everything based on numbers that we get from those two organizations and from Central Hudson. So we're chasing it, and
We're doing our due
we're
diligence.
doing.
Thank you very much, Trustee Brain. Appreciate it. Okay. Now, moving on to local law 3/4/2025 rescind and pass. All right. I know you're looking at this, right?
Yeah, and I actually, Jonathan is looking at it, he looked at it today. He had prepared the law. It's not immediately obvious as to exactly what or why, but we'll take care of it.
Okay, yeah,
We'll work with Doris and we'll take care of it.
okay. Moving on to the dock pilings. Okay, Doris, please tell me, does this look like you had contacted Cornwall Yacht Club and you provided the answers to our carrier, and now we're good to go?
We have two assurances, workers' comp and for the
Liability.
equipment, for the equipment.
Okay.
Three
All right.
pieces of equipment.
So I think we now have finally gotten our insurance coverage for the installation of the pilings. We're entering into a rental agreement with the Cornwall Yacht Club to use their pile driver along with a few volunteers as well as our DPW to put these pilings in. 5 pilings, right, Dave?
Yes. I spoke with Steve Langina over the weekend, and we were hoping to try to get it done today because the insurance came in late on Friday.
Right, but then sorry to cut you off, what happened is after you spoke to him, I spoke to Steve, he came in, and he looked at it, and he said, wait, there's a couple of things missing. I advised Doris spoke to Steve, then he reached out to our carrier. So they amended our certificate of insurance. It looks like we have everything covered. However, Steve is not around, he's gone for a couple of weeks, so these pilings are not gonna be put in for at least another 2 weeks. But, in the meantime, we have coverage.
Yes.
Is that just because he has to sign the agreement?
No, I had him sign the
He
agreement.
leads the crew.
He leads the crew, he's the
Oh.
man. Yes, so,
They asked
no,
who the driver was gonna be.
what's that?
They asked who the driver was gonna be, and I told them it was gonna be Steve.
Yeah, so, it was very painful, but thank you for your assistance on that, Doris and Joe.
Hopefully it won't be so
Yeah, I hope we
cumbersome
don't,
moving.
I know, I hope we don't have to go through this.
Every year.
Okay. Let's see, dock pilings, all right. Mountain Road, I'm just gonna add these last 2 things. The PFAS settlement. Mike, why don't you just give us an update? I know you brought it up to us at the work session, but just let everybody know.
Sure, so back in the summer of 2023, Rural Water Association, the National Rural Water Association, they started a class action lawsuit on behalf of all the small water systems that serve under 10,000 people, of which we're a member. Since that time, the attorneys have entered into 4 settlements. One with 3M, one with DuPont, another one with BASF, and I think the 4th one was Tyco. The settlement for 3M, we received our first payment last week. I think it was like $160,000. Our total settlement from 3M is going to be about $1.3 million. The other 3 I suspect will be considerably less. The treasurer, Megan, and I, we have a web meeting with the attorneys on Wednesday to go over a manner in which we can get an accelerated payment so that it doesn't get spread out until 2033.
And Mike, that 1.3, that wasn't the net, right?
No, I think our net's going to be just a little over $1 million. I think around $300,000 of it is legal fees.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that question.
Yep.
300.
Yep.
Okay.
So, just for round numbers, our engineers had estimated a $2 million price tag for PFAS treatment at both the well facility as well as Black Rock treatment plant. So we'll have some seed money for that work at some point.
And it's good news because one of the first things we'll probably end up using the money on is Sphagnum Dam, which desperately needs to be taken care of. So, okay, keep us apprised on that. Thank you. That's good news, Mike. Last thing I added to other business was what I said at the work session. That's in regards to Mountain Road and Deer Hill Road. After our last business meeting, I met with Jason Pitangaro in regards to the two roadways, and I asked him to do a workup to we're seeking to assess and make improvements to the stormwater drainage condition in the vicinity of Mountain Road and Deer Hill Road. The proposal is to provide engineering services for drainage improvements on both roads. The Mountain Road assessment area will be the entire roadway, as well as Deer Hill Road. It's going to be done in phases. They'll do some mapping of the drainage area, inspection and evaluation of the existing stormwater infrastructure, catch basins, the culverts, the contributing drainage areas, and they'll end up recommending whatever solutions or additions that need to be done to correctly drain the stormwater. I'm meeting with Jason again because I had some questions about his draft proposal. The second part of that was, as Dave described last week at our work session, and he provided us the video of the fiber mat. So what DPW is going to do is, it's equivalent to chipping and tarring and chipping. DPW will put down this, contract with to put down this fiber mat, and then it's then tarring and chipping on top of it, Dave, is that what it is?
It's very similar to an oil and chip, except for it has fiberglass embedded in it. And what it's gonna do, it's gonna seal the roads and make them watertight for now, until we get our engineering done. It will improve the roads, it'll keep them for this coming winter. If we don't do something with them now, by spring next year, you're gonna need graders, not.
And we're not spending an enormous amount of money on it, like having it repaved, so. All right, that's it for other business. Moving on, public comment. Any further public comment? Hearing none, all right. FYI, so we've got the summer camp, June 16th, the summer camp registration deadline. June 17th at 7 p.m. the planning board meeting in the village boardroom. June 19th, 7 p.m. the Riverfest meeting in the village boardroom. June 27th, Cornwall High School graduation. July 4th, the 4th of July festival and parade. July 8th, at 6 p.m. the fire commissioner meeting in the village boardroom. July 10th, we have the 7 p.m. zoning board meeting in the village boardroom. July 15th, 7 p.m. planning board meeting in the village boardroom. And then July 21st, the village board meeting here in the village boardroom. If you remember our cadence for the past, I don't know, at least five or 6 years, might be longer, we would do a consolidated, we'd have one meeting in July and one meeting in August. So unless something comes up where we have to have a special meeting, I'll let you know, but our next meeting is scheduled for July 21st. Moving on to board comments.
Mr. Mayor, I
Yes.
think our attorney's trying to get your attention.
Yes, Counselor.
What do you mean, uh-oh? What was that, uh-oh?
What's
I'm
up?
going to hand up to the clerk the settlement check on the claim for the fire
Yes.
vehicle. Didn't want to forget to bring it to Joe. Release is attached. I think we have a copy.
Did this come up this came up at our work session, right? We already adopted, we already agreed, yes.
Yeah, it was approved a while ago.
Actually,
Okay.
notice.
Yes, okay. All right, what was I gonna say? All right, board comments, let's start. Yes.
Just for the public, we are, I think Phyllis told me we're at 109 now on summer camp, which is good.
109, okay, all right.
I mean,
Okay,
it's not what it's been.
Just from Village?
No,
That's total.
But it's better than it was, because so many people found other camps in the meantime.
Yeah,
That's
that's not
why.
bad.
I think it'll go up if they stay here.
all right. Trustee Galliano, first up.
No comments.
Trustee Paleota, anything?
No, nothing.
Trustee Brain.
I had the pleasure of attending the NICOM conference along with colleagues and attended sessions on housing, climate leadership, solar implementations, community development and economic development, funding opportunities for water, et cetera, from the state and federal governments. And I think I was in the employee handbook one. I can't remember, but I wrote it down. And then the summer camp starts. Does anybody remember the date that the summer camp starts? I wanted to write it down. I didn't.
I don't have it.
June 30th? Oh, yeah, June 30th to August 8th, right? Yeah.
Chief?
And the hours are expanded.
The
8:45 to 3, I think. Or 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock, right?
Yes.
So anyway, it starts then.
Available
And for the first time in a long time, I will be out of town on July 4th. So
Oh,
I will
Bill.
trust that everybody will collect money for fireworks and march in the parade on my behalf.
Deputy Mayor Carnwright.
I'm good.
Okay, and I just wanted to thank the Special Events Committee. I attended for a short while, the Folk
Very nice.
Festival it was excellent. I left at around 6:40. Did it get, were there a lot more people showed up? Very good, very good.
It was great.
And,
Probably 200 people there.
oh,
Yeah, for
excellent,
late
excellent.
date change, it was good.
And I
Beautiful
have to say, I had a couple sips of Phyllis's
Sangria.
sangria was excellent. So, and then the other thing, I think that was really about it. I hope I'm not missing somebody, but any alibis? No alibis. All right, I will make a motion to adjourn. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Yes, Counselor.
just wonder if that's really the response they want here. It's just as, the village.
Okay. Yeah, we don't need to
Mike's good.
clarify.
Don't antagonize them. Right, just, yes.
July at least, if not before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't want her to keep creating
I had a
stuff.
public query asking about looking at the filings for the
Yes.
development on Shore Road. Are those
Taken care of.
posted